G'day everyone, how you going? Welcome to the first episode of On This Day in Australian History. What I'm going to be doing throughout this series is just taking a look at the events on any random day over the last couple of hundred years, and I'll be finding an interesting event or person or just whatever that happened on that date, and I'll tell you all about it. It's going to be very simple, very light-hearted. I'll stay away from a lot of the political stuff. And I won't be going into the major stuff either, like Anzac Day or Federation, because hopefully you already know about all that sort of stuff. But I find that a country's history isn't made up of all the big events. Most of the time your history is based on the little insignificant things, the little people, the little events that didn't really make the history books but all had an impact on what we are today. So with all the formalities out of the way, today, 6th of May. So on 6th of May 1888, a young fellow named Hugh Quinn was born. So, who was Hugh Quinn? Strangely enough, Hugh Quinn was the son of Mr. and Mrs. Quinn of Charters Towers in sunny North Queensland. Like most young blokes in the early 1900s, Hugh was very active in the local militia, and he was a member of the Kennedy Infantry Regiment. In 1909 he joined the regiment at the rank of a second lieutenant. In 1911 he was promoted to lieutenant, and in 1912 he was promoted to captain. So at the outbreak of war in 1914, the Kennedy regiment was sent to Thursday Island to undertake garrison duties and to maintain a watch for German shipping in the area. And this was all fairly boring, and then so Quinn decided he would join the AIF, the Australian Imperial Force, and he was appointed as the company commander of C Company of the 15th Battalion of John Monash's 4th Infantry Brigade. He left Australia with the brigade, with the first contingent of Australian troops that were sent overseas, and from Egypt he was sent to Gallipoli. Monash's brigade wasn't involved in the initial landings on the 25th of April 1915, but elements of his brigade landed later in the afternoon. Hugh Quinn's company was landed early the next morning, and he was sent straight up to the post at the head of Monash Valley. When you look at Monash Valley from the beach, it forms roughly a triangle, with the forwardmost post at the front, right at the point of the triangle, and the arms of the ridges leading back on both sides. The front here stretched for about 140 metres, with the point at the front of Monash Valley and the two arms leading back, which means basically if you're an Australian soldier at this post, you're getting shot at from not only the front, but you're also getting shot at from behind, from both sides. As you can imagine, it's a fairly uncomfortable place to be. But it was a key point of the entire Anzac line, because if the Turks were to break through here, they would be down on the beach within minutes and the whole invasion would be for nothing. So this post had to hold at all costs. So the first few days were spent trying to strengthen the position, and they were just digging and sandbagging and doing what they can to try and make it a little bit safer. But on the 1st of May 1915, the Turks led an all-out assault against the entire Anzac front. Their commander, Mustafa Kemal, muttered the words, "I don't order you to attack, I order you to die." And that's exactly what they did. They died in their thousands as a wave after wave threw themselves at the Australian lines. At Quinn's post, they just kept coming and coming and coming, to so that the rifles of the Australians became too hot to hold, and they had to try and swap them out for fresh ones that they could actually keep a handle on. And Hugh put in a request for bombs and a periscope, because he couldn't see what was coming, and under those conditions, if he stuck his head over the parapet, which is the front of the trench, he would have been killed straight away. But unfortunately for him, it was the same situation right across the front, and there was just nothing to be spared. However, after a few hours, the post was still in Quinn's hands, and the Turkish attack had faltered with heavy, heavy casualties. So after this, things settled down for a few weeks. The position was strengthened, but the Turks, they still needed to take this area, so they decided they would tunnel towards it and set off a mine, which they duly did on the 29th of May. After the mine was set off, the troops stormed forward and were successful in seizing portions of the trench. Hugh Quinn led a counter-attack, and shortly thereafter most of the positions were retaken. And then a little bit later, there were still parts of the trenches were still in Turkish hands, so Colonel Chauvel, who was the local commander at the time, he ordered Quinn to lead another attack and to retake those positions. The sun was starting to come up by this stage, and Hugh just felt that any attack across open ground at that point would just mean certain death for everyone involved, and he was very reluctant to lead that charge. In the words of somebody at the time, Major Quinn was in a very argumentative mood, apparently. So on 2 occasions he attempted to sound the charge. He put the whistle up to his lip, but couldn't bring himself to blow it. Eventually another officer named McSharry offered to take Hugh up a small sap so he could get a better view of what was out in front and what was expected. For those who don't know, a sap is an offshoot of a trench that usually goes towards the enemy line, so cuts into no man's land. So Hugh agreed, and McSharry led him forward. Unfortunately, just as he got to the junction of the front line and the sap, Turkish sniper got him in his sights, and Hugh Quinn was shot in the head and died instantly. He was 27 years old, and his body was buried in Shrapnel Gully, and the post was named after him, so it's obviously became known as Quinn's Post. For the remainder of the Gallipoli campaign, Quinn's Post remained in Australian hands. It was such a dangerous position that the official historian, Charles Bean, he wrote of Quinn's Post that men on the beach, as they walk past and hearing the bombs and the shooting from Quinn's Post, look up at it as a man would look upon a haunted house. So there you go. 6th of May 1888, Hugh Quinn was born. He would go to lend his name to the most dangerous position on the peninsula, and where he would ultimately lose his life in 1915. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to be advised when new episodes are posted, just click on the subscribe button that's down there somewhere. If you want to find out what I'm up to, go to my website at warwickoneil.com. If you want to check out my blog site, it's notyouravageidiot.net, where I blog on all sorts of things from four-wheel driving, single parenting, whatever comes into my head. So hope to hear from you soon, and cheers. See ya.